Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Hope your day and your week are going well so far. Got a new day, which of course means a new MLB Player Prop video to share with you guys. But first, as always, people, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. It helps the channel grow, and it really does mean a ton to us. We've got a pretty solid MLB slate on tonight, and I have a whopping 6 picks to share with you guys for tonight's slate that I'm very, very excited about. But first, before we hop into today's picks, we do, of course, have to recap how we did last night. And it was another solid night. If you couldn't tell by the thumbnail, we cashed again last night, people. 3-1 last night. Now, we did give up 5 picks originally. Unfortunately, Mike Yastrzemski did not play last night for the Giants, so that pick gets voided. So the 4 picks that got graded, we went 3-1. I do realize there's a spelling error on Otto Lopez. Apologies for that. But the only prop that we missed was the Colton Cowser over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. But overall, another 3-1 night. We're now 6-2 so far this week, a 22-10 run dating back to last Monday. So we have been on the money of late. So if you guys haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you can go ahead and follow along for all the winning plays I hand out in this video series. Guys, without further ado, let's dive into today's picks. All right, guys, jumping right into the Outlier screen. Shout out to Outlier, guys. They're the sponsor of today's video and all of my player prop videos on this channel. They're the best sports betting tool in the market. If you watched my videos before, you know all about Outlier, what it can do for you. But if you're new here, if you don't know what it's about, stick around and watch the video for a little bit of insight on what Outlier can provide. We do offer a special link down below in our description that gives you guys a 7-day free trial to check Outlier out for yourself. There's no risk involved. You try it for 7 days, you don't like it. I'd be shocked if you didn't like it. But in the event that somehow you don't like it, you cancel it, no cost to you at all. But I promise you guys, you will not be disappointed by Outlier. If you're looking to make money in the sports betting business, then you have to have a proper sports betting tool by your side. And Outlier is the best one money can buy. Special link down below, 7-day free trial to check it out for yourself. As always, shout out to Outlier for sponsoring our videos. All right, the first of 6 picks in today's video, guys. We're kicking it off with the Twins-Cubs game, 2:20 p.m. first pitch, a little bit of an earlier game here. So go ahead and get this bet in as soon as you possibly can if you're looking to ride. We've got Carlos Santana here under 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. We're going to grab this for -140 on DraftKings, also available on BetMGM for -140. Now, the data looks pretty good on this prop, I cannot lie. 8 of his last 10 games, he has cashed the under, an average of 1.1 HRRs per game. He has cashed in each of the first 2 games in this series versus the Cubs already. So pretty good data there. We go to the last 20 games, stretch the data out a little bit. You see 14 of his last 20 games, he has cashed the under. That is a 70% hit rate, an average of 1.4 HRRs per game. Go ahead and look at the season view as a whole, the 2024 season for Carlos Santana. 62 out of 103 games this season, he has cashed the under. It's a 60% hit rate on the year with an average of 1.69 HRRs per game. He has had a couple of hot runs there in the middle of the season, but of late you see more cashes on the under than there have been overs. And look at the head-to-head data dating back to June of last season. You see 8 of his last 11 games he's cashed the under versus the Chicago Cubs. It's a 73% hit rate versus the Cubs in 11 games. Pretty decent sample size there. 1.82 HRRs per game versus the Cubs. He does have a couple of massive games there that do skew the numbers a little bit. It is worth noting that a few of those games, of course, was with a different team when he was with the Pittsburgh Pirates as a member of, and also the Brewers. He's jumped around a little bit, Carlos Santana, over the last year. But with Minnesota, you see the 2 games so far this year, both unders. Looking down below at the key matchup stats, guys. Now, obviously, the head-to-head, not a lot of stuff you can grab for that. Only 1 plate appearance versus Javier Assad dating back to 2018. But in that 1 plate appearance, Carlos Santana did get struck out by Assad. Look at the clean matchup splits here. Carlos Santana, 241 batting average this year, but versus right-handed pitchers, it does drop to 217, which obviously fares very well for us. And look at Javier Assad, 3.19 ERA this year with a 2.43 batting average allowed. However, versus left-handed batters, it does drop to 2.63 ERA and 2.12 batting average allowed. Also, his home runs per 9 drop, his OBA drop. So across the board, really solid numbers for us. You got a batter who versus right-handed pitchers, the numbers decrease significantly, and a pitcher who versus left-handed batters, his numbers decrease significantly, which of course is good for us. Overall, really solid prop, -140 for a reason. Really like this to kick off our video today. All right, guys, moving on to our second pick of today's slate, and this is a prop so nice, you'll see it twice. This is literally the same prop we bet last night, and we did go ahead and cash that yesterday. It's Otto Lopez in the Reds-Marlins game, which is a 6:40 p.m. first pitch. We got Otto Lopez over half a strikeout. Now, the odds are a little bit better because now as the weeks go on, he's due to finally not strike out, but I'm going to go ahead and wager that he's going to strike out again tonight. BetMGM minus 105, DraftKings minus 110, also available if you guys use Prize Picks. Again, the data you saw yesterday, it got even better because, of course, he cashed that yesterday right there. That was that 8-2 win for the Reds last night. He did strike out in one of his at-bats. 9 of his last 10 games, he's cashed the over with an average of just about a strikeout per game. If you stretch that to the last 20 games, 70% hit rate. 14 of his last 20 games, he has cashed the over with 0.75 strikeouts per game. So far in 2024, a 50% hit rate on this over. 33 out of 66 games for the Marlins this year, he has struck out. So pretty good, average of 0.61 strikeouts per game. And the head-to-head data, you see one of two so far in this series. He didn't strike out on Monday, but he did strike out yesterday for the Marlins. And again, the insights provided by Outlier. Otto Lopez has exceeded half a strikeout in 9 of his last 10 games. That at 0.9 strikeout per game average, like we just talked about. Looking down below at the key matchup stats. Now, this matchup versus Abbott, not as great as the one yesterday versus Nick Lodolo, but still a solid matchup overall. You see Andrew Abbott has a 19% strikeout rate. Again, I think Nick Lodolo's was over 20 yesterday, so a little bit better matchup yesterday, but still not bad. 19% strikeout rate's pretty decent. Look at Otto Lopez again versus left-handed pitchers. 176 batting average, 16.9% strikeout rate, 1.4% walk rate. So across the board, really solid numbers here. Otto Lopez struggles mightily versus left-handed pitchers, and for Abbott, he actually does pretty well versus right-handed batters, at least for the strikeout rate. It's not too bad, 19%. We'll go ahead and take that. Again, he's been cashing it pretty consistently of late. The odds are is a little bit better for us. Yesterday, I think we got it at minus 120 or minus 125. Today, you're getting it at minus 105, minus 110. I think you go ahead and take that chance. Go ahead and take that bet. For minus 110 for a prop that he's been cashing at a 90% hit rate over his last 10, 70% over his last 20, I just don't think you can beat that. There are props, you never feel good about losing, but there are some props where it's like, you know what, if I were to lose that, I'm happier to at least bet it and lost it than to not bet it and he hits it again and I feel like a schmuck because I didn't bet it. All right, guys, moving on to the third prop of today's slate. Now, this is a play we did bet yesterday, but not the exact same prop. So it's not a 2 for 2 where we're doing the exact same thing again like we did with the Otto Lopez prop. A little bit different here, but same play. We're going Orioles, Blue Jays, 7:07 p.m. first pitch. We're going Vladdy Jr. over 1.5 total bases. Now, you get that for plus 105 on DraftKings, plus 105 Bet365, plus 101 Underdog. Also available on FanDuel and on Caesars. So, really solid plus money play here. Again, he's been covering this pretty consistent. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. This is a different line, different bet. Obviously, this is bases, not hits, runs, RBIs, but the data still is pretty good. You see here, 8 of his last 10 games, he has cashed the over with an average of 4 total bases per game. Now, he actually did not cash this last night versus Baltimore, but again, 8 of his last 10 games, he has cashed the over. If we go ahead and we stretch that data out a little bit to the last 20 games, you'll see a 70% hit rate. 14 of his last 20 games, he has cashed the over with an average of 3.55 total bases per game. Now, the overall season data is not fantastic. You see 52 of 112 games this year, he's cashed this over, which is a 46% hit rate. Not fantastic. An average of 2.07 total bases per game, but of course he has some big games in there that kind of skew the data in our favor there. But we talked about it a couple times. I bet the Vladdy Jr. prop between hits, runs, RBIs, and total bases. I've kind of been flip-flopping between them a lot lately because he's been red hot of late. And that's the thing. Yes, you look at the beginning of the year, a lot more red. He wasn't having a bad season per se, but he wasn't having a great season over the last 20 games. And you can see the green there on the right side of the screen. I'm trying to highlight it for you guys a little bit. Over the last 20 games, he has been very, very hot. And so we're going to go ahead and keep riding the hot hand. Vladdy Jr. so hot right now. Guys, if you can get that reference, I'm pretty happy if you could get that. But Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has exceeded 1.5 bases in 8 of his last 10 games. Again, we just saw that. Going down below to the key matchup stats. Trevor Rogers, who's making his second start as a member of the Baltimore Orioles, just got traded over from Miami last week. Vladdy Jr. has 3 plate appearances versus Trevor Rogers dating back to 2018. Very small sample size. He has not gotten any hits off of him, but again, just 3 plate appearances. Not really a ton to go off of here. But down below is where I really like this prop. So, Vladdy Jr. is batting .316 this year. You see versus left-handed pitchers, that batting average increases to .338, which is absolutely fantastic. His ISO goes from 221 to 324, an absolute massive uptick. His BABIP, a slight drop, but I'm not too concerned with that. But the one thing I really like to see here is the extra base hit percentage goes from 37.5 to 48%. You love to see that. What's even better is going down below to Trevor Rogers. His ERA is 4.76 versus right-handed batters, a slight uptick to 4.80. Really doesn't matter. It's about the same numbers. Batting average allowed, kind of the same thing. It's 2.78 versus 2.77. It's the same number. His slugging percentage allowed, again, slight uptick, 4.55. It goes to 4.64 versus right-handed batters. So again, the difference between his overall numbers and his numbers versus right-handed batters are essentially the same thing. But again, they're all pretty good numbers for our case. And most importantly, his extra base hit percentage allowed is fantastic for us in this prop. 40.2% versus right-handed batters. I always tell you guys, when it comes to these bases props, when it comes to getting extra bases, these are the numbers you want to look at here that are really, really good. Vladdy Jr., 48% extra base hit percentage, and Trevor Rogers, 40% extra base hit percentage allowed. That is a recipe for a cash and for plus money. I absolutely love this prop. It's only plus 105. You get it for DraftKings or Bet365, but still a solid prop. You're giving us plus money on Vladdy Jr., absolutely hammering that. All right, guys, moving on. Our fourth prop of today's slate, we're looking at the Rays-Cardinals game, 7:45 p.m. first pitch. We're going Jose Caballero under 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. You can get that on DraftKings for minus 140 and BetMGM for minus 145. Caballero has cashed this in 8 of his last 10 games, an average of 0.8 HRRs per game. He had a couple big games there versus the Reds and versus the Marlins, but of late you see a lot more cashes on the under than there has been the over. You go ahead and search that data to the last 20 games. You'll see 13 of his last 20 games he has cashed the under. That is a 65% hit rate with an average of 1.2 HRRs per game. Now, if we go ahead and stretch the data out a little bit farther to the 2024 season as a whole, you'll see 55 out of 92 games this year he has cashed the under. That is a 60% hit rate on the season. That's pretty good for us. An average of 1.52 HRRs per game, but pretty good numbers there when it comes to us with this prop. And the head-to-head data here, each of the last 2 times he's faced off with the Cardinals, one being yesterday and then other time being last year, he cashed the under both times with an average of just 1 HRRs per game. Scroll down below to the key matchup stats, including the insights provided by Outlier. Jose Caballero has failed to exceed 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs in 7 straight games on the road. 0.1 HRRs per game average on the road over the last 7 games. Pretty bad on the road of late, and obviously they're in St. Louis tonight. Jose Caballero is batting .230 this year, which is not great. Not the worst we've seen here, but not great. Versus right-handed pitchers, a slight decrease of .226. It's essentially the same number, but a slight decrease. He's a little bit worse off when going up against right-handed pitchers. And look at the matchup here versus Eric Fedde, or Eric Fed. I think it's Eric Fedde. Again, names are not my thing. 3.34 ERA overall. Again, it's the same number. Slight uptick to 3.36 versus right-handed batters, but it's the same thing. His batting average allowed 230, and then versus right-handed batters, again, a slight uptick, 236. But 230, 236 is really not that bad of a number for a pitcher for a batting average allowed. Could it be better? Absolutely, but really not a bad mark for us here for this prop. And his home runs per 9 actually decrease. His OBA decreases. Again, slight decreases. But overall, the numbers are solid. For a hitter that's been kind of cold, who's been cashing this under pretty consistently, the pitching data, I know it shows red, but really it shouldn't be red. It's red because there's a slight uptick, but it really is solid data here. 3.36 ERA and a 2.36 batting average allowed is pretty solid. I like the matchup here versus Jose Caballero. I actually like it so much that for my 5th prop, I'm sticking with the same game. I'm sticking with the same player. We're going to Jose Caballero here over half a strikeout. Get that from minus 150 on both DraftKings and BetMGM. That's right. I'm going 2-for on this player, Jose Caballero. His strikeout numbers also really solid. 8 of his last 10 games, he has cashed the over. He's had some really awful games of late. 3 strikeouts in that loss versus the Marlins on July 31st. He's averaging 1.4 strikeouts per game over his last 10 games. You look at the last 20 games, again, 16 of his last 20 games has an 80% hit rate with an average of 1.3 strikeouts per game. You thought Otto Lopez struck out a lot? Jose Caballero has got him beat by quite a number. In 2024 so far, 60 out of 92 games, Jose Caballero has struck out. That's a 65% hit rate with an average of 1.07 strikeouts per game. Now, the head-to-head, he's only played him twice. He has not struck out yet versus the Cardinals. That just means, guys, that he is due for a strikeout here in St. Louis. Looking down below at the matchup as well. Again, we talked about the batting average and whatever, but The strikeout numbers is fantastic. 28.8% strikeout rate overall. Now, versus right-handed pitchers, that does decrease a little bit to 25.3, but 25.3 is still a massive strikeout rate. Very good for us. And looking at Eric Fetty, his strikeout rate, 21.4% overall. It's even better versus right-handed batters at 23.7%. So really good. Kind of like we talked about with the extra base hit percentage thing. If you got a batter with a high strikeout percentage and a pitcher with a high strikeout percentage, it's a recipe for a cash. 4.9 strikeouts per walks. That's also very good for us. And one more thing, the insights provided by Outlier. Jose Caballero has exceeded half a strikeout in 10 of his last 12 games on the road with an average of 1.2 strikeouts per game average. We did a giveaway on the channel the other day that you guys really responded well to. So we're going to go ahead and do it again. Here's my proposition. Here is my contest. Here is my offer to you guys. If both of these Jose Caballero props hit, the under 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs, and the over half a strikeout, I will pick one lucky commenter to win a $10 free Amazon gift card. All you have to do to be entered is comment, "No way, Jose." It's so fucked up that I'm running a contest preying on this man's downfall to not get hits, to strike out. Awful, but hey, nobody said that sports betting is for the faint of heart. So comment "No way, Jose" down below. And if both of these Jose Caballero props hit, I will pick one of those lucky commenters to win a free $10 Amazon gift card. That's all you got to do, guys. No way, Jose. Let's go ahead and profit off of this man's this man's failure, I guess. All right, guys, and wrap it up here with our sixth and final prop of today's slates. We're going Mets-Rockies, 8:40 p.m. first pitch. We're going Harrison Bader over half a strikeout. Go ahead and get that for minus 119 on Prize Picks, minus 125 on BetMGM, and minus 130 on DraftKings. Again, the numbers are solid for this prop as well. 8 of his last 10 games, Harrison Bader has cashed this over in strikeouts, an average of 1 strikeout per game over his last 10 games. You go ahead and search that out to the last 20 games, a 65% hit rate. 13 of his last 20 games, he has cashed the over, and that comes with an average of 0.85 strikeouts per game over the last 20 games. In 2024 so far, pretty good as well. 52 out of 94 games this year, he's cashed the over. It's a 55% hit rate with an average of 0.77 strikeouts per game this season. And go ahead and look at the head-to-head data there. 4 of his last 7 games versus Colorado, all with some of those games taking place this year, the last 4 being this year. He's cashed the over. It's a 57% hit rate, average of 0.71 strikeouts per game. You see last night, he did strike out once last night versus the Rockies. A couple earlier this year, back in July, he had 2 strikeouts in that game, 1. So 3 out of 4 games this year, 75% hit rate this season so far versus Colorado when it comes to hitting the over. Scrolling down below, again, these insights have been fantastic today. Harrison Bader has exceeded half a strikeout in 7 of his last 8 games on the road. It's an average of 1 strikeout per game average on the road over his last 8 games. Now, the batting average is a little concerning. Harrison Bader has actually been a pretty good hitter this year for the Mets. 271 overall versus right-handed pitchers. That actually does increase to 296. But his strikeout percentage is at 23%, which is pretty high. And again, looking down below at Ryan Feltner, 20.8% strikeout percentage versus right-handed batters. So again, 23% on Harrison Bader's part, 20.8% on Ryan Feltner's part. That feels like a recipe for strikeout. All we need is 1 for this to cash, and that's all we need. I think we're going to get that too. His walk percentage does drop for Harrison Bader, 3.7%. Of course, his batting average is 296. And Ryan Feltner, his strikeouts per walks, it's basically the same at 2.8, but a slight uptick. But again, overall, really solid numbers. When I see those same thing like the extra base hit percentage, same thing like the Jose Caballero prop. You see those strikeout percentages high, you got to go ahead and bet them. And again, not bad odds too for minus 125 on BetMGM, minus 130 on DraftKings. Pretty solid odds for a prop that's been cashing for the majority of the season. All right, so that does it for today's video. Again, I always post the link down below for the picks. You go ahead and click that link. I'll take you right to this page. All 6 picks for today's video are right here for you guys. And it shows all the different sports books you can bet them on. Again, all 6 are available on DraftKings. 5 out of 6 are available on BetMGM. You can find a couple of them on FanDuel, on Prize Picks. 4 out of 6 on Underdog. So pretty good amount of them are available across multiple sports books. So if you guys have multiple different sports books that you guys use, you should be able to go ahead and follow along. Of course, DraftKings and BetMGM offer the most of these picks. So guys, that is it for me today. Again, comment "No way, Jose," and you guys could be potentially picked to be a lucky winner for a free $10 Amazon gift card if both of those Jose Caballero props hit. That is it for me today, guys. Thank you very much always for watching. One more time, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. I'll be back tomorrow with a new MLB Player Prop video and a special announcement on tomorrow's video of a new partner that will be joining us as an affiliate here on the channel. I'm really excited to talk to you guys about that. If you watched Ev's video, you probably already know about this, but I will be announcing it on my video tomorrow. Guys, thank you very much, as always, for watching. Until tomorrow, I hope you're all winners. Have a good one, guys.